Where have you been all my life? What's
Man,
up? How are you?
I am great, Cream. How about yourself?
I'm
It
doing
sounds,
pretty good. And to
sounds like you're
everyone out
still
there,
sounds like you're
yes,
still coming down from the highs of the Rihanna performance on the at the Super Bowl.
I'm coming down off of something regarding that Super Bowl performance. We can talk about that in a second. But welcome to the Soulful Cream podcast. I am Cream Diggler,
And I am
and
soulful Mexican.
we are so happy to have you guys here. Hopefully, you can hear me good. I cannot seem to hear myself great today
You
for some
sound great.
reason. Do I good? Okay, maybe it's just me.
You you
Um.
you sound like you in the studio about to drop a hook.
Okay. Turn me up.
The Nate Dogg of 2023.
Oh, okay. Um. So we got a lot to talk about today. So much has happened since the last time we have broadcast. As always, it seems like Soulful is always on the road and doing things around. Me and myself, I'm a homebody, just stay at the house, just don't do much. But
Whatever. I saw you do
Soulful,
your 20 minutes on the Stairmaster at the gym, which I'm very proud of you for that.
thank you, thank you. We are working on down 5 pounds since
All
the
right, we
journey
gotta
has
we gotta
started.
celebrate those things.
Yes, amen. Yes, I am grateful. Now, you went out with the girls last night. How was that?
I did. It's Mardi Gras weekend. Um, so of course the big celebrations in New Orleans and then Carnival. Well, the really, really big one is Carnival in Brazil.
Mhm.
But Galveston itself, Galveston, Texas, also had the beach. For those of you that aren't from Texas or familiar, it's a nice little coastal beach town, but they also have a big Mardi Gras celebration. I didn't go to any of those. No, no, no. I ended up going into the city last night to a local bar called Buddy's. Some Onyx members decided to have host a little theme there that night, and I wanted to participate. I'm always eager to be supportive of, local minority gay events and such like that. I'm a big
Yeah.
supporter of Onyx, and we really haven't seen much representation for Onyx in Houston.
Mm.
They do have a representation in Texas. I see that they do events in Austin, in Dallas,
Hmm.
even in New Mexico.
Oh,
But I
wow.
really don't see much in Houston. So when I heard that they were going to be doing something like that in Houston, of course I had to attend.
Yeah.
Great, it's very a lot of fun. They encourage the leather gear. As soon as I walked through the door, greeted with smiles and hugs and Jello shots.
Now, did you have your leather outfit on last night?
I didn't. I don't have any leather. I
You
don't know
know,
why.
you ain't got
I
your little harness
I don't.
situation.
I don't.
Oh wow, okay.
So
You got to go leather
So, if
shopping.
any of you listeners have any recommendations for leather harnesses and stuff, I'd definitely like to hear it.
Hmm.
I like to support the mom and pop shops, the little, the local vendors and the bold entrepreneurs that are going out, on a limb to
Hmm.
try to have a business of their own. So,
Uh,
let us know. Let us know on the on our Instagram or such who's out there who's got some good products, and we're eager to hear about it. I am.
mm. I know, right? Speaking of products, guess who has merch now?
I
Hmm.
know
Us.
because I just ordered some today.
Did you order some today?
Hmm
Well,
I ordered me a
awesome.
shirt. And decided to order one for Nico Bear too, since he participates with the podcast from time to time.
Oh, that's so
In and
nice.
out of the sometimes in front of the camera, sometimes behind the scenes. So you know
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
I think we talked about this too. We've had some very loyal listeners that have been listening from the podcast since the beginning,
Yes, we have.
and we would like to be a blessing and maybe send some free merchandise your way.
Yes. If hit us up in our comments below. If what should we do? We need to make it a contest for somebody because I have. How long have you been listening to the Soulful Cream podcast? In the comments, whether that's on Instagram or on YouTube, let us know how long you have been listening to this podcast, and if you want to throw in like a why you come back, why do you keep coming back? Let us know. All right,
Yeah.
and we'll enter you into a drawing for our new merch. And speaking of the new merch, I'm going to show you if I can, because honey, I've been look. It's crooked. Okay, it's I'm on the screen.
Sideways.
It's sideways, and I tried. I kept. And
Ooh, I like that coffee
let me
mug.
just say, I kept trying. Anyway, I
Oh, and
tried.
you did do a tank.
Yes, there is a tank in there as well. I'm see if I can give you the. Can I give you the full screen
When I
experience?
went to the link, all I saw were T-shirts, long sleeve and short sleeve. But I didn't
Uh-huh.
really take the time to really dig through it. But I'm really liking that hoodie, and of
Yeah, right.
course,
The hoodie's
and I
cute,
yes, very much, and of course the coffee mug. I'm a big coffee drinker, as y'all know,
right?
and I have a big coffee stand. I have a whole wall dedicated to coffee in my home. So I would definitely gonna add that mug to my collection.
Right. Me too. I have mine is on the way. My mug's on the way. But yes,
You
and
be
I
sipping? Are you gonna be sipping tea or sipping
I
tea from that mug
am.
during the show?
I am going to be sipping tea from the mug in the show, most definitely. And I have some T-shirts here that I do want to give away, like you said. So please, you guys,
Yeah. Now, if we
comment.
send you those T-shirts now, y'all got to help us out. Take a selfie with a T-shirt, post it on Instagram, tag
Yes,
us.
yes.
Reshare us. Let us reshare you.
Hmm.
Help each other out.
Exactly. Amen. Amen. All right. Okay. Let me see what we got on the docket here. So we're going to get into some hot topics. Things that are of interest. So we're going to talk about billionaires, the top billionaires in 22 is one of the first things we're going to get into. And so the youngest, what do you think, Soulful? And you looked at the article. Can you believe that the top billionaires are in tech? I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? That all these guys who are all under 30, because in 2022, Forbes released the top billionaires, the youngest billionaires under 30.
I know the CEO for my company is one of them.
Get out. Which one is
Yeah.
he?
Well, he's not. I mean, he's not on this list, but
Uh-huh.
he's
Oh,
very
he's
well
he. Oh,
known
he's a
for it.
billionaire though. Yeah, got you,
He's
got you.
yes, yes. Yeah. I mean, he started his company when he was 26, and it's crypto driven. And he's just made definitely made the millionaires under 30 list. But yeah, he's rapidly trying to make the billionaire list.
You know, Life ain't fair.
It's all about strategy because
It is.
I've looked at these lists before, and it's a very clever approach. Some of them find a product that's already doing well that everybody has, like let's say an iPhone. So
Yes.
what do? They create their own aftermarket, accessories for iPhones. They figure everybody's got an iPhone. They're going to be looking for covers and all kinds of things. So let me sell iPhone covers, aftermarket ones. Next thing you know, they're
Right.
a billionaire.
Next thing you know, it's like, I mean, I guess life is fair. I guess it's not fair to me because I feel like I'm not that smart. I don't have those. My brain doesn't work that way. I was watching a I think it was like a reel on Instagram of a scene from Yellowstone. Have you seen this where she's talking to the little boy and she's like, there's only three ways to get rich or something like that, and she was like, be really smart, and she's like, and that's not you. And she's like, and the other way was, she said, oh, inherit it. Oh, there's four ways: inherit it. The other way was steal it. And she was like, oh, it's five ways. Sorry. The other way was, so inherit it, be really smart, steal it, and then or work really, really hard, harder than anyone else. Don't let nobody outwork you, and come up with something. And then the last one, he said, the boy was like, well, what's the fifth one? And she's like, no, learn how to suck a dick through better than anybody else, or something like that. She said, she was like, suck a key, learn how to suck a dick like a key through a keyhole, or something like that. It was
Well,
much funnier
it
than
worked.
I said
It
it.
worked for Anna Nicole Smith.
It's worked for a lot of girls, right? And boys, and boys too, right? I don't know.
I think the only thing I will probably say different. And this was a lesson I learned when I was living in Long Island with a coworker of mine. I always used to say, "Don't work harder, work smarter."
Mm.
You know, he
Mhm.
used to have a job. It was paying okay, but he did it to have like the benefits and stuff like that,
Mhm.
health insurance and all that. But his primary income was through a business he was doing where he was repairing and repurposing cars and such like that from salvage vehicles, and then fixing them up and selling them at a pretty decent price. And that's where his primary income came from. It was just that it was sometimes it was really profitable, and sometimes you could have your slow periods, which is why you save.
Mhm.
But yeah, I learned from him, don't work harder, work smarter.
Mm.
I feel if you work really, really, really hard without a direction or a strategy, somebody else is cashing in on your hard work.
Ah, totally. That totally makes sense. Now, in other hot topic news, a woman was accidentally CC'd, copied on an email. She had applied for a job. She was in the process of applying for the job, and she got copied on the email where the one of the bosses said, "Hey, she's a finalist. She's interested in the job. The job pays, let's say 60K. Let's offer her 53. I think she'll take it." Uh, and the internet kind of went up about it because the woman posted it and everybody's going up on it.
As
What
they
do you
should.
think? What do you think about this?
I think it's just confirmation what we already know is happening in
Hmm.
the background in corporate America. People act like they're being fair, and they're really not. We talk about equal pay for men and women, and this
Hmm.
is clearly a situation where this woman's applying for a job. Maybe they would have lowballed them whether it was a man or a woman, but nevertheless,
Hmm.
it's unfortunate that it happens, and it's unfortunate that it has to take the extra effort for us to negotiate because it's very nerve wracking and it creates a lot of anxiety. Like, I really want this job, but the salary is crap. So
Right, right.
I want to negotiate a better salary, but I feel like, I'm being torn between getting a job that I'm interested in, getting paid what I'm worth, and possibly losing that job to somebody else who's willing to do it for less money.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You
And it's
know,
unfortunate that that's the battle we have to have.
it really is, and I think what's bad about this, it makes people who really do have small budgets and they don't have any room to play look bad, right? Because if people would just be honest and say, "This is our floor," or "This is our ceiling," and this is all we can offer you, and we're going to offer you because why would you offer anybody the position who you're not willing to pay them the money to do the job? So I get you trying to maybe save your budget and things like that. But if you can't afford to hire the position, then don't hire the position. Uh,
Exactly.
so I think that is the big problem because as someone who works in education, when people will, uh, when I as a boss and when I make an offer, I'm offering you what we can pay. I'm not doing that little. Well, I'm leaving off 1,000, so if they counter, I'll just say, "Oh well, I'll give you one more thousand. That's all I can do." I'm like, "Honey, this is it. This is it." And they're like, "Well, is there any room for negotiation?" No, no, girl, this is it. This is all we got. But I understand why people feel like they have to ask that question because of situations like this, because people like to play games, you
They
know.
do. And
You know.
and it's crazy. Like, I'm here to do a job. I know what I'm worth. I know I wouldn't be applying for this job if I didn't think I could do it. So,
Hmm.
I think it would just take so much pressure off of everybody if you paid, the rate for the job and not try to manipulate it based on what you think the person who's applying for it is worth. I had an acquaintance of mine years ago. Had just gotten a PhD in computational biology, which is it's a very unique field that goes into genetics. So these are the people that are going to be breaking down DNA data and such, the ones that would be the ones to create ancestry.com and such in the future, and he had just gotten a doctorate in this. And he was being headhunted by a company that was offering him $60,000 a year.
Mm.
And he told them, like, with all due respect, do you really think any PhD is gonna take this job for 60,000 a year? He's like, that's something you pay somebody with a bachelor's. And the recruiter came back, we actually pay our bachelors 25,000 a year.
Eek.
He's like, why? like, "Is anybody even applying for these jobs?" He's like, "That's why we've been trying to find somebody for this position for the last 2 years."
Mm. Well, there you go. Now, of course, there are some fields in the arts where a PhD
Say
fresh
that
out of
again, but in the
in the
arts.
arts, a PhD fresh out of their program would be lucky to make 60,000. That's almost a tenured professor gig, but hey, every area is different. Every area is
Yeah,
definitely different.
but
Yeah.
one can't ignore also that the gender equality in pay comes into play here. One of the companies I used
Hmm.
to work for years ago, and I'd been there for almost 10 years. Then my boss quit, and then her boss quit. So I had to kind of fill in for their positions while they were trying to find somebody because they knew they
Hmm.
weren't going to put me, they weren't going to hire me and put me in those positions. I would just make too
Mm.
much sense. Not that I'm
Mm.
salty, but nevertheless, nevertheless, I was doing my job in both of those jobs as well. And one of those things that included was, of course, doing employee reviews, telling them how much they're going to get paid. And for the first time in all my time working there, I actually got to see what all my employees were making.
Mm.
And this is what disturbed me. All the female employees that I had under me that had been there for a while, that had been promoted to senior level positions, were all
Hmm.
making under 40,000 a year. And we
What?
had and we had just hired two guys off the street that had no experience and paid them 45.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, and I remember, I was like, I told my interim boss at the time and
Hmm.
HR, I was like, I know I'm not the manager, but clearly you guys gave me access to this, and I want to have a conversation. Why are all the women in senior positions that have been with this company for a while making less than 40,000 that are having great reviews, but you're bringing
Mm.
these guys off the street with no experience for, and they couldn't give me an explanation.
Oh, did they try to move to make some adjustments or nah?
No, they didn't because we were in the middle of a merger, so of course it said hiring freeze, everything freeze
Right,
after
right,
that.
right. Gotcha, gotcha.
And I was gone before they finalized that. So, but yeah, clearly it happens. I've been a
Clearly, it
witness.
happens. Yes, yes. All right. Well, Riddick returns. Are you a fan of
Vin
what's
Diesel.
Vin Diesel? Oh yes, Vin Diesel. And the Riddick movies. Are you
I
a fan of
am.
those? Me
I
too.
am.
I'm a huge fan of those movies. Uh, uh,
I
in,
just, we've had a lot of badasses over the years in movies, but there's
hmm.
something, and it's a combination of the voice, the
Hmm.
lines. The very first one
Hmm.
I saw him in was Pitch Black.
Hmm.
And when he ended up fighting that one alien, grabbing it by the hands and then slicing it to protect the girl that was posing as a boy,
Hmm.
and finally ends up killing the alien by slicing, and he says, "Did not know who he was fucking with." I was like, "Yes!" Something about that line just brilliant.
Yeah, I love those movies. Just I'm all about a real good fantasy, a good getaway, escape kind of situation, and that movie really does that. The whole series does it. I mean, it's just good popcorn movie, right? This is a good.
Yeah,
Just
even
you're
the
not.
animated one that came in between Pitch Black and Chronicles of Riddick. There was an animated one, and that
Yeah.
one was really good too.
What was that one called? You remember what that was called? The animated one was it just Pitch Black as well? Uh,
No, it had a, what was
had a
it?
little tagline on it. We're gonna check it out because we like to
Yes, yes.
document our sources, y'all. Hmm.
Dark Fury. It was
Dark
another
Fury.
Chronicles of Riddick, but it was Dark Fury.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting because the new one is called Furia, but that's the name of the world that he's from, right?
Yes.
Uh,
Yes, that's the planet he's from, the race of people that he is.
so I'm really interested to see that because it's always interesting when you're not the only one, right? It's like if we went to Krypton and saw a bunch of Supermans around, or like
Mm,
when the Kryptonians came to Earth and they were just as badass as Superman. Like that's
yeah.
always interesting when you're the protagonist has to deal with their equal, you know.
Hmm.
So that's going to be a real interesting
Yeah.
thing.
Up until then, he had only met one other Furian, and that was in Chronicles of Riddick. That's one of the
Hmm.
ones that was part of that underverse religion. But once he revealed he was Fury, and he kind of just stepped into the fire and vaporized himself. So he's like, okay, well, that was short lived.
All right, so we look forward to that Vin Diesel. I think that's supposed to come out
I do.
in
I enjoy,
24, right?
yes, yes, I do. I enjoy a good Vin Diesel movie, but I want something other than the Fast and the Furious.
Have you watched all of them? All the Fast and the
I
Furious?
stopped. I feel like there's enough Fast and Furious movies to go compete with Land Before Time.
Yeah.
At some point, Fast and the Furious is going to become a musical.
Okay. I think I stopped at number 3. Like I didn't watch 3, or maybe I watched pieces of it on TV because they're good for bringing that stuff to TV. So I may have
Yeah.
watched a couple of it on television, but I definitely did not continue with all those Fast and
I
Furiouses.
don't know. I just gave up. I mean, at this point, Disney would have to pick it up along with the Marvel world and, and the Star Wars world, and put it in, well, not put it in chronological order for me, so that I'm have the energy to watch them without by just pressing one button.
Oh goodness. So something else that's coming out soon is a Donald Glover. I think he's one of the producers on this film. We all know Donald Glover from Atlanta. What's that college show he was on? Junior college. It was like a show with Chevy Chase and what was that show
He has
called? Uh, he was on. It was him and Chevy Chase and the black lady who a lot of people confuse her with Sherry Shepherd. Um, Community. That's it. Community. I knew it would come to me.
okay.
Yes, it
Yeah,
was a Community
he's
together.
also, he is childish Gambino.
He is Charles Gambino.
And
Yeah.
I love when they give him such like roles in movies that you don't expect him to, like The Martian with Matt Damon. He
Yeah.
was he was that nerdy college student that came up with a scientific solution to get the ship back to Mars, fast enough to be able to save
Uh-huh.
Matt Damon. And even then, the way he did the presentation, used the supercomputer, I was like, you know what? I believe it. I could see somebody like Donald Glover doing that in real life.
Right.
He sold me on it.
Mm. Well, Donald Glover is one of the producers on this new movie called Swarm. And Swarm, formerly called Hive, and you'll know why. That's kind of a clue. It's a movie about this obsessed fan who, who anytime she's always asking people, who's your favorite artist? And if you don't have the right answer, you gonna be dead. She gonna get you. So essentially, I think they're inspired by Beyonce's Beehive, is what it is. They probably changed it from Hive because it was too close to Beehive, and they didn't want to get into any legal stuff.
Right. I'm intrigued. I'm
I'm
intrigued.
intrigued too. I mean, it's coming straight to Amazon.
I it reminds me of when they came out with the Karen movie. you
I
know,
didn't
the,
see the Karen movie. I missed that one.
they made it like, they made her very frightening, but they played to all they played to all the public opinion that comes with being a Karen. So
Ah,
I
gotcha,
kind of
gotcha.
feel like it's going to be a very similar experience, but
Hmm.
I'd have to watch it first. I definitely would like to give my 2 cents on it after I watch it.
Right. I mean, the preview, it's giving streaming vibes. It is definitely, it's definitely not giving like, oh, why isn't this in the movie theater? When you watch the preview, the little trailer, you're like, okay, I understand why it's going straight to streaming services, but that doesn't mean it can't be loads of fun. So,
Hmm.
uh, you know, I'm here for it. I'll check it out.
You
I'm
find
curious.
some, you find some gems that went straight to streaming.
You sure do, don't you? You sure do. So I'm looking forward to that. And then in very exciting news for the culture,
Both
Celia
cultures.
Cruz. That's right. She is going to be on some money. How you
Yes.
pronounce her name with the accent?
You said it
Celia.
right.
Did I say it?
Maybe,
Celia Cruz.
yeah, maybe just put a tiny little roll in the R in Cruz.
And the
Cruz.
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 Soft,
Cruz.
actually, not even a roll in the R, just soft in the C. Celia Cruz.
Celia Cruz. Cruz. I'm horrible with accents, but she is going to be on some money. What they're doing is she's going to be the first Afro Latina on U.S. currency, and they are putting her on. Is it the quarter that
The
she's going
quarter.
to be the quarter
Yes.
that she's going to be on? Like, have you heard people talking about that? Like, is it are people like in your world
I
talking about it
hadn't.
at all?
I'm gonna be honest. I hadn't really looked because I know how negative people can be
Mm.
when somebody, somebody of, somebody with a certain amount of melanin makes it
Hmm.
on something like that. It just brings out the worst in people. So I've been avoiding public opinion and just want to enjoy the fact that we've made this kind of progress.
Yes, right. I mean, I think it's a wonderful thing, and if nothing else, someday somebody's going to look at that money, and some kid's going to be like, "Who is this? Who is that?" And their
Yes.
parent is not going to know, and they're going to go, "Well, let's Google it and find out who this person is," and they're going to learn something about.
Azúcar. Yeah, I would love to see it. I really, I was really excited when they were talking about putting Harriet Tubman on the 20,
Hmm.
and I just hate that that didn't, well, the wrong administration was in place and that just didn't follow through. But,
Right.
once upon a time, I'm sure it was controversial to put Sacagawea on the dollar, that
Yes.
dollar
Right.
coin, and here we are today.
And
So,
here we
yeah,
are.
I would love to see, I'm eager to see and collect. I'll definitely have a couple of those quarters once they come out with Celia Cruz on it.
Do you have any songs of hers that you like that you particularly love in particular? Like, I've watched videos of her on YouTube performing and stuff like that, but I
Mm.
don't think I know any specific songs of hers that.
I've always thought of her like a Spanish Patti LaBelle, and not Patti
Mm,
LaBelle now, like Patti LaBelle with the Bluebells, because
mm.
that's when they were kind of doing drag.
Yes, yeah, 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 yeah,
And
yeah.
and Celia Cruz, as she got older, she kind of went into that as well.
Hmm.
The very loud colors, the wigs, the over the top outfits. So that's what it reminded me a lot of. Everybody, and most people know Guantanamera.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
how's that
for
go?
me,
What's the rhythm?
Guantanamera, ahí a
Mm, mm, mm,
Guantanamera.
mm. Okay, yeah, yeah, uh huh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Wyclef Jean had sampled it in one of his tracks.
Oh, okay.
She has a very, very upbeat song that came out years ago called La Negra Tiene Tumbao, which, it says, basically the woman's got rhythm. She's got a little pep and all that. Very, very
Hmm.
fun video. Old girls dancing her ass off in the washing area. And they picked a very beautiful model. Just kind of had that Lupita Nyong'o esque look that was in the video.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was yeah, she's definitely an icon.
Mm.
They
Well,
did a years ago. They did a very big tribute with all these Latin artists from all the different Latin countries: Mexico,
uh
Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Ecuador, Honduras, and it was just such a big celebration to have all these artists come here, do their music, and
mm,
pay tribute to Celia while she was still living.
mm. That's awesome. Well, we are going to take a commercial break. I figured out how to do this. I think we're going to take we're going to take a commercial break and bring you one of our classic commercial parodies. We love to do this because in the Soulful Cream podcast, we are all things. As we said before originally, we are a variety show type podcast. We're funny, silly, serious. You know,
And some of you might be inspired by some of those products and services.
that's true. That's true. If you decide to bring them into true fruition, give us credit. So here, uh, this commercial is our commercial for the Bussy Control 3001, featuring the illustrious voice of one and only Soulful Mexican. Here we go.
One pill with the Bussy Control 3001.
Oh, come on,
You can do
girl.
both. When you take the pill, your top will smell a
Oh wait a minute,
unique
she didn't
scent
start.
that
Oh, she got to
reminds.
start at the beginning. Here we go. Here we go. My bad. Ghetto.
Today, bottoming can be pretty demanding. Fasting all day,
I'm so hungry.
rigorous meal planning,
I'm tired of eating ice cubes.
and dairy deprivation.
Oh my god, I just had yogurt. Ah!
But douching doesn't have to be. You want things to be simple, but your tops want it all personalized. You can have it all with just one pill. With the Bussy Controlled 3001, you can do both. When you take the pill, your top will smell a unique scent that reminds him of his favorite dish, while taking your insides from Flint water to spring water. So tasty and so clean. To all my girls out there, it's your time. Order the Bussy Control 3001, and with just one pill a day, go from basic to classic. Now available with Bluetooth.
Well, I guess if you have trouble knowing your body, that's where the Bluetooth comes in handy.
Right. She's like, "You're ready, girl."
The blue, it doesn't even have to be a scale. Sometimes just a flat yes or no.
It's a
It's like
flat yes.
just
You're
a
ready.
gone on, or no, ma'am.
No man.
He's on his way. Hold on, my phone just beeped. No, ma'am.
No
Oh,
man. Tell him just a second,
it's,
boo.
it's reschedule.
I really love that commercial. I don't know if everyone else out there loves it as much as I love it, but
I appreciate the vocal contributions that Nico Bear made today
oh,
because
that's right. Nico Bear is the featured. He's the commentary, like the screamer,
I
and
couldn't make those. I
the
couldn't make those squeals and
the,
such.
what is it? Oh no, I ate some
I
yogurt.
just had yogurt.
Yes, all that. Thank you, Nico Bear. We love you for your contribution. So, in this next segment, we're going to talk about a little something a little bit more serious about internalized ageism as we get older and maybe how we're different than we were 10 or 20 years ago. I was reading an article about this thing because, as we as people, as gay people in particular, I mean, we all there's a little bit of preference for youth. I think in all cultures, but particularly in the gay culture. So as we get older, I think there's a struggle sometimes for some of us to look for our value, especially because I think folks who are in their 40s, maybe 50s right now, don't have as many role models for how to function as gay men at this age because so many of them were lost to during the HIV pandemic. So we lost a lot of great, talented, smart people during that time. Also, we lost a lot of mentors and a lot of examples for us coming up. So what we know is all the youth culture stuff, right? Circuit parties, uh, bathhouses. I don't know, body worship. All the stuff about looking good, fit, and young, and all this stuff. Like that's a lot of stuff we have to reference. And so, do you feel like as you've gotten older that you have let a lot of that stuff go, or is it still there, and has it become some form of internalized ageism for yourself as you've gotten older, or for yourself or for others?
hmm it's kind of hard to tell for me because if I was following the ageism, the ageism perception,
Hmm.
you know, I probably my dating life probably would have been different over the last 20 years. Because in my 20s, I was dating guys in their mid 30s, sometimes in their 40s. And
Mm,
then when I hit mid 30s and 40s, I allowed myself to date people in their 20s, which was kind of funny. Doesn't mean that I exclusively did. I would date people my age or older, but
right.
I just kept an open mind in dating younger people as well. One,
Mm,
because why not?
Right.
And then two, because I dated so many older people in my 20s, I figured it was my way to give back to the community.
Look at you. He's a giver, y'all. He's a giver in more ways than one. Okay. In case you're curious.
I will neither confirm nor deny. I think there's a portion of that that's not exclusive to the gay community, though. I think as we grow up, most of us have parents in our 20s, sometimes
Yeah.
30s,
Yeah.
and it's very easy to perceive 30s and 40s as old. you
Yeah.
know, it's very easy to perceive that, we don't even think about grandparents in their late 40s, 50s, or 60s. We're
Right.
just like, once I reach my parents' age, that's it. I'm officially old.
Right.
So, I remember working for this bus company in New York called the Hampton Jitney, and I was going to pick up a little side project where I was going to do runs that would go from New York to Florida. And this was in the winter, this is in the late fall so it's really designed for older, elderly New Yorkers to catch the bus and kind of just get to Florida and hang out and migrate down there for the winter.
Hmm.
And the lady was explaining to me, some of the people are young, some of the people are in their 40s, and, not everybody's elderly. And when she said 40s, I chuckled, and she's like, "Why'd you laugh?" "Oh, it's just because you said 40 like it's young." Mind you, this is when I was like early 20s.
Ah!
And I was like, so needless to say, that compromised my ability to get that job.
Oh.
But, you know, I think everybody goes through that.
Mhm.
You have this very limited perspective of what life is and lifespan is. And, once you reach 30 and 40, like, I don't feel old.
Right.
I think it's just a matter of, how much you take care of yourself, how much drive you have to make the most of life.
Yeah.
As long as you have those things, it doesn't matter what age you are.
Yeah.
Sometimes your body will tell you otherwise, like cut back on that soda. You can't be lifting all that at once. Like, okay, it's 10 o'clock. You didn't take a nap today. You know, but, for the most part, age ain't nothing but a number.
I think you're definitely right. Age ain't nothing but a number. For myself, I do find myself still kind of negotiating, I guess, age. Just in the sense of, okay, one thing, at 50, there's the range of fitness, the range of body ability is so vast. And I've said this before and I'll say it again, and I'm going to quote the Golden Girls. They said your body at your 20s and your 30s was what God gave you, and everything after that is what you earned. And I found myself getting really stiff, and of course, in addition to gaining weight, I was just like, okay, I do not want to be a stiff, walking around kind of, oh, let me go, kind of guy. And so I downloaded a app for stretching, and for the last 2 weeks, I've been like starting to do that and I've already felt big difference. I mean, big enough difference that I noticed it.
You felt big. What? You're lucky the video didn't buffer at that moment. I felt the big
The big
difference.
difference. Yes. Yeah. So far, just in by every morning getting up, I have this. They have different. The app is called Bend. I'm not getting supported by them, but if you want to, Ben, hit me up.
Bend and snap. We're trying to avoid the snap.
Exactly. And like they have a bunch of different exercises within the app. There's like a 5-minute wake up stretch to do. And trust me, stretching is almost to me as hard as working out sometimes, depending on the stretch. Because I guess we all have different things in our bodies. Like some people are tighter in the hamstrings, some people may be tighter in the back or the whatever. We're tighter in different areas.
Different ranges of motion.
Yes, different ranges of motion. So I've been experimenting with that, and it's meeting the challenges, recognizes where I'm fucked up. But the whole point is just that I don't want to go gently into the night. I want to go I know I gotta go. I don't want to live forever, but if I'm gonna be here, I want to be in my best body. That's really
Yes,
what it's about,
cream.
you
Yes,
know.
cream. Rage against the dying of the light.
Ah! No, I just want to go. I want to go
Bonus
feel
points
my
to
best
whoever
self.
knows where that's from.
Right? Yes.
Put it in
In
the
the comments.
comments.
Yes. So yeah. So I used to think doing all that stuff was like, oh, you just gotta age gracefully, and you know what? But that's not really what it's about. It's really about uh
Being mobile
being
and
mobile
independent
and
for as long as
independent.
possible.
Yes, yes. Because when I get to the point of not being independent, move me to a state where euthanasia is legal. Okay, because I want the option.
I would have just put you in a adult care facility and sent you strippers once a week.
I don't want to be in an adult care facility. I don't send me to the state they'll let me pop a couple pills and take and go to sleep.
Oh,
Like,
please. By then, we'll be able to migrate your consciousness into the metaverse,
all
and
right.
you can have whatever body you want.
Oh my gosh, that'd be interesting. That'd be really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's funny you say that because I've been doing a stretch routine myself that I started just before the new year. It's kind of weird.
mhm,
Like, I don't know what happened to me in December, but I decided to be hit the new year hit the ground running in the new year. So I actually
mm,
started a lot of my goal setting, goal planning, and goal initiation in the weeks leading up to January. But one of the ones that I did was incorporate a 20-minute stretch routine that I do every morning as soon as I get out of bed, because no matter how much rest I got, and no matter how comfortable my bed is, I found myself feeling really stiff every morning. So I started doing this stretch routine, and it's really done wonders for me. It really makes me feel energized in the morning as soon as
yeah.
I'm done. I'm a big coffee person, but that's because I just like coffee. It's not
Mhm,
necessarily because I need it to wake me up, although it does have that function.
sure.
But I feel like doing these stretches is more than enough to get me going.
Mm.
Like I did it yesterday as soon as I got up, and next thing you know, I cleaned the whole apartment.
Yeah, I totally feel you. I feel like by the time I just do 5 minutes in the morning, I'll graduate to 15. But but I do feel the blood circulating through my body better, and I feel more present in my body just the more working out, the more watching what I'm eating a little bit better. I mean that could get way better, but I'm working on it. It's a
Now,
journey. It's a
are
journey.
do any of these stretches you do put you in some very interesting positions?
Yes, they do. Yeah, there's one where you stand. Of course, there's the like the roll ragdoll where you just roll forward, but then there's and bend trying to touch your toes. But then there's also the one where you spread your legs standing up and then bend over, which I'm really good at that one. Like
Huh.
I was shocked
Able to
how
just grab your ankles and everything, huh?
yeah. I mean, as long as there's grip on the floor, I can. Like I'm surprised that how easy that
So
was to
natural.
do. So natural. Hmm.
I think for me, the one that I really wouldn't want people to see me doing is called the happy baby pose, because it's kind
Which
of
one?
like you get on your back, and it's a
Oh yeah,
circuit
I
stretch.
think I know where you're
You know,
going.
I go for it goes from a knee hug on my back to kind of pulling my feet up,
Oh
and
yeah.
so of course thighs are spread, feet are down. It's a very common position you see on freak Twitter, but I'm using it to stretch my body.
I'm surprised that you can. Not surprised. I'm not surprised that you can do it. I'm surprised that it's happening because I can't do it. The whole like hug your knees thing. My legs are just in the air. I can't hug I don't have that kind of range of
my,
motion yet.
my
I
gut
don't have
gets
it.
in the way.
Yeah,
My
that
gut
gets
gets
in
in
the
the way, so
way.
I have to breathe out, like try to sink the gut as much as possible.
Yeah.
It's funny. I one of my friends did see me do the routine because he was intrigued by it, and I've been sharing the routine with some of my friends. Which, if any of you are interested in incorporating a 20-minute stretch routine in the mornings, let me know and I'll send you the link. Uh, but yeah, one of my friends was saying, because I was like, "Wow, you're really flexible," and I said, "Yeah, but I still can't do a split." And he's like, "I can do a split, but I can't sit
Mm,
Indian style the way you do." So it's
mm.
very interesting how different people have different level of flexibilities.
Yes, right. Very, very true. I remember one time I was going to take this class in a certain style of movement, and it was an Asian inspired movement, and it required us to sit in what they call the hero pose, which is, on your knees, sitting back on your haunches with your toes pointed out. Does that make sense? So
Hmm.
you're on your knees and you sit back on the floor, and that stretch that you get in your ankle, kind of like the between your ankle and the flat of your foot, was so tight for me back then. But now it's not as bad. I don't know. It's just interesting how your body adapts and changes. And but I just know it's really important because one time my chiropractor who I went to was like, well, if you don't stretch, those people who you see in the grocery store walking around bent over and walking like hunched over. He said that could be you if you don't keep stretching and keep those calves stretched. And I'm like, oh shit, thank you. Another thing to deal with.
That
You
hard
know,
that it can be a hard pill to swallow, but it's good to know about it now, and it's good that it's such an easy solution.
exactly. Yeah, just keep stretching,
Just
keep your
stretch.
body flexed. Yeah, exactly. But it's amazing though how much sometimes we will resist doing the things that are good for us, even just because there's a little bit of uh of of, of suckiness about it. Like, oh, this sucks.
A
So I don't
little
want
bit of
to do.
resistance.
Yeah, a little bit of resistance. I was I've been reading some of these or listening to a lot of motivational podcasts and motivational like just quotes and stuff. And one thing I was listening to, this guy said, do at least one thing that sucks every day. And he wasn't talking about oral. He was talking about work out, run, stretch, eat a salad, whatever. And of course I'm going all fitness stuff because that's where my mind is. But it could be, write if writing sucks to you, or read or whatever. Do something that's good. Usually the stuff that's good for us sucks.
Hmm.
Usually, right? All the stuff that's kind of
Bitter,
bad for us,
bitter greens.
right? Yeah,
It's
like
like
eat.
bitter greens are so good for you. Then why do they have to be bitter? Damn it, arugula.
Right, exactly. It's like, why does everything that is good for us not so great? But whatever. So he was. So
I
I
don't
thought
know.
that was a good thing.
I used to joke with one of my friends in Florida, Tech Teddy, but I used to tell him, I need somebody to genetically modify broccoli to taste like fried chicken.
Child, if only you would
or
think
to or to genetically modify fried chicken to have the nutritional value of
value of
broccoli.
right. You're like, oh, this chicken has all that fiber like broccoli does. It's like great.
Riboflavin.
Exactly. That's what we need to happen. Somebody, a scientist, be useful.
Bitch, I will personally give you the Nobel. I'm not even on the committee. I will give you the Nobel.
Right. He gonna type up his own certificate and send it to you. All right. So on our next and final topic before we get into our top three and conclude our podcast today. Uh the question is, as you've gotten older, what have you given yourself permission to do, to feel, to whatever? What have you given? What have you given yourself permission to do that maybe you used to not do as a younger person? Anything comes to mind when you think about something like this?
I tend to be a creature of habit, and as we get older, we tend to be a lot more cautious about various areas of our life. We tend to be more cautious with our body and with our health because, we're not as resilient as we were in our 20s. If you break a bone in your 40s and 50s, it's going to be a lot more difficult
Mm,
for it to heal than if it was in your teens and 20s.
hmm
Uh, so I think a lot of people tend to become more conservative and more protective of themselves as they get older, in lots of areas, not just physically, but I mean, people that are investing financially for their future and their retirement. As you get older, you tend to be less risky with, your investments and such like that. And such is life. As you get older, you want to, you know, all the that you've accumulated over your lifetime, you want to become more protective of it as you get older because you don't have as much time anymore to recuperate it if you take a big loss.
Right.
So I'm inclined to be cautious and be conservative as I get older, but I give myself permission to be a little crazy sometimes. So I tend, and it's funny because anybody who knows me, personally and is in my proximity realizes, oh, Soulful is a creature of habit. I know that on this day he's gonna do this, he's gonna do that. But every now and then I just tend to be really random and be like, you know what, I'm going on a road trip. You know what, I'm gonna get a tattoo. Things that most people would take a big, take a lot of time to make a decision on and a lot
Right.
of planning. That's when I'm like, no, let me get in the car. Let's go.
Right.
New Orleans is only 5 hours away. Let's go.
Let's go.
Where are we gonna
Love
stay?
it.
I don't know. We'll figure out when we get there. So it's just kind of a reminder for myself that
Mm.
you know, there's still opportunity to be adventurous.
Yeah, yeah. I think one thing that I have done as I have gotten older is giving myself permission to be honest about my feelings and where I am in terms of like, if I don't feel like talking, it's okay to say I don't feel like talking, on the phone or in person, whatever. If I don't want to do something, it's okay to say that. Whereas before, I think my desire to please prevented me a lot from uh, doing those kind of things, right? I was so, or maybe even more, less than a desire to please was a desire to be liked. And so my desire to be liked would oftentimes make me avoid conflict. And I don't go looking for conflict now, but I think just
Who's gonna want to have a conflict with you? Damn.
I
Have y'all seen those guns?
don't go looking for it, but I definitely will not run from it and I definitely will address issues now that maybe in the past I might not have been so, might have been a lot of conflict avoidance, going on
I've got
back in the
another
day.
one for you too.
Good, give it to me.
As I've gotten older, I've given myself permission to let my heart get broken from time to time.
Mm,
I give myself permission
yes,
for that. You know what?
that's
You know,
powerful.
yeah, dating has not gotten any easier as we've gotten older because,
Hmm.
just as soon as we think we figured out the whole dating and love thing, it evolves, it changes. People are constantly changing, groups are constantly changing, and technology is making it change even faster.
Yeah.
So, I often think about the kinds of infatuations and feelings that I had in my younger
Mm,
years, in my
mm,
teens and 20s. And with that came the heartbreak, the
r-
devastating heartbreaks and all of that.
right.
And, for many of us, we've become very guarded over the years. Like, oh,
Sure.
I don't ever want to go through that pain again. I don't want to ever hurt my heart broken like that again. I
Hmm.
don't want to be taken advantage of like that again. And you can still date and not get taken advantage of. You learn to, when you put yourself out there, not to put out too much and things like that. But in dating in the last few years, I've met some people over the course of time. Maybe it was going to go somewhere, maybe it didn't, but I really enjoyed having those feelings flourish, the excitement
Mm,
of meeting
hmm.
somebody new, the anticipation of,
Hmm.
do they like me like I like them? Where is
Right.
this going? Oh
Mm.
my God, they just sent me a good morning text with this picture, this and that. Oh wow, wait, there's a package waiting at my door, kind of stuff. Yes. So from that, those are the things that I give myself permission to experience as I
Yeah.
get here. I'm not gonna let any amount of heartbreak or heartache prevent me from
Mm,
from still experiencing those things. And I think that adds to one's youthfulness when you're still willing to
yeah.
take those chances.
That adds to your youthfulness, but I think a result of that though is also wisdom because, I remember an episode of Dr. Phil where a woman was talking about how she couldn't move on from a breakup and how she was so hurt she didn't trust anybody, she just couldn't take another chance again. And Dr. Phil said to her, he said a lot of different things that I don't remember. I mean, I remember stuff like that dog won't hunt and things like that. But I don't. But as far as advice he's given, he told her what it is not that you can't love again. You just scared that you can't survive being hurt again. You think if I get my heart broken again, I'm gonna die. I won't survive it. I'll just blow away. And the fact of the matter is, you will not. You will survive. You will make it. You will be okay, and you will learn from it. And I think you are where old girl at that time wasn't, and that idea of knowing that and having that kind of wisdom that even though it might
I
hurt,
like
you will survive. Yes.
that. Okay, Gloria Gaynor.
Mhm.
So yeah, I love Uncle Phil's Dr. Phil. I love Dr. Phil's perspective on that. I also like Ayanla's. It's a little bit different because it's not about heartbreak, but it did have to, well, a different kind of heartbreak. She was speaking to the survivors of the Pulse massacre in Orlando, and it had been like 1 or 2 years, and one of the girls just still crying like she did the day after it happened. I just can't let it go. I just can't let it go. I just can't let it go. And Ayanla made it plain and simple. She's like, "Do you like suffering?"
Mm.
No. Girl, you need to let it go. She's like, I know it's hard, but you've been suffering for 2 years. You're in a safe place now. You have a support system. You have resources.
Mhm.
Use them. Don't just stay in a place of suffering.
Yes, I totally know what you mean because some people, and I know that is very tragic, but to me, um, there's a difference because it's always tragedy will always be with you, right? Trauma will always be with you in some kind of
Yes.
way if you've experienced it. You'll always be scarred by it, but this, but to, but there's a difference between it's back there, it's in my mind, it's back there, but I'm walking forward. There's a difference between that and I'm gonna bathe myself in it. I'm gonna
Yes.
wallow. I'm gonna wallow in it, and everything I do is through the tinted glasses of that. Like that
Exactly.
really changes everything.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that because it's not designed in any means to undermine what they went through.
Hmm.
But, tragedy happens, and we are fortunate enough to have a lot of resources out there. And for anybody who experienced that in that particular event, there was a lot of outpour from various communities trying to help and support the survivors,
Hmm.
which would include trauma and trauma management and therapy and such like that. So the help is there. You just got to choose to take advantage of it and move forward instead of just staying in a place of perpetual suffering.
Yeah, I think a way that I'm also different now is that I've given myself permission to redefine myself how I want to define myself, and that could change at any moment. So so when I see like older people wearing outlandish clothes and doing crazy stuff, I know that that's someone who's given themselves that kind of permission, right? Because tomorrow you may see them dressed in a Brooks Brothers suit. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's how you want to be all the time. It just means that if I choose to dye my hair today, I that's okay. If I want to dye my beard yellow today and tomorrow put it back to its natural state, that's my business. And I don't have to worry about, well, if someone sees me, they're gonna know that my beard is really gray and da 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 and blah blah blah. Girl, it's my business. If I want to wear a hot pant short to the club, I will do that. I mean, I did some of that stuff even as a kid, but a lot of that was kind of like me rebelling against stuff, right? So it was a lot about other people and how people might perceive me and me rebelling against them. Whereas now it has nothing to do with no one else. It's all internal. It's all about me just trying to do what makes me happy, and not really caring. I think, and not really following the rules. Even though as we get older, we learn a lot of rules. We go, okay, well, if we do that, we can't do that, and if we do that, this is how I avoid getting hurt if I do this or if I do that. And sometimes we gotta say fuck them rules and just take a risk and take a chance.
I am
Uh,
going to be cream unapologetically.
Unapologetic cream, yes.
Oh,
you
that
know.
sounds like a product we can market.
It does. It does.
Unapologetic cream.
Stay tuned. New commercial coming soon. You know.
You know, another thing I give myself permission to. I give myself permission to engage in more sex positivity without calling myself a whore.
Mm,
you
yeah.
know, it, one of my friends said this best, because before before he got married, we were hanging out before he got married. Well, one of my friends called him out for some of his behavior before he got married.
Oh, okay.
And and he said, before I was married, I was never a whore. I was just doing single shit.
Right?
That is true.
It's true.
True.
Exactly. Yes, whores get paid, if that's even a proper term.
But yeah, you know what? I used to be a lot more conservative with my sexual practices just because even in my single state. And for a lot of valid reasons. At the
Hmm.
time there was a lot less medical technology available, so a lot of it was to protect myself. But also to protect myself emotionally, and to, I guess, from my perspective, to protect my reputation. Because it was
Ah,
very easy to, you know, people who were actively engaging
hmm.
sexually, 10, 20 years ago, were very, and even longer than that, were very easy to label as,
Yeah.
you know yes,
Girl, he give it up to everybody, girl. He's a hoe girl.
yeah. And being promiscuous at that time was something that was kind of shunned and shamed.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Even
you know,
though everybody might have been doing it, but if everybody knew your business, they were shunning it. You're right. Totally.
mhm. So yeah, at this point, you know, what you do is none of anybody else's business. And
Yeah.
if you like it, I love it.
Who started that? You know who started that?
RuPaul.
No, I'm about to say
Oh,
it's
which one?
Salt and Pepper. If I want to take a guy home with me tonight, it's none of your business. And
Oh,
if
okay.
she want to have a freaking something on the weekend, none of your business. Yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
That's what made me think of that. Yes.
That makes more sense. I was thinking about the RuPaul, like what other people think of me is none of my business.
Yes, exactly. That's a very great quote to remember.
Mm.
RuPaul also says don't read the comments, but that's because she gets millions of comments. I wouldn't read the comments either if I was her.
No,
I wouldn't read the
I,
comments if I
I
was
I
her.
don't read comments a lot of times either,
Yeah,
unless I'm looking
yeah.
for feedback in the show.
Right.
Which for this show we do read the
For this
we do
show,
read
we
the
read the
comments.
comments. Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
now once we get 5 million followers and we're getting 100,000 comments a day, I don't know, we'll see. But in the meantime, we're a mom and pop operation. So, and you can, and depending on the day, I'm mom and he's pop, or vice versa. It just depends on the day. Okay, so yes, yeah. So I mean, I think those are some really good things to think about. And what I like about us doing this podcast and being our ages is that it does put something out in the world for a younger gay person to look at and see. Oh, this is how the old heads are talking. This is what they're talking about. And whether they're listening now or not, whatever, we're here, and I think it's also good for our peers to see themselves, and maybe y'all have different things that you've changed on as you've gotten older that you're giving yourself permission to do. I would love to hear about that, and if you could put that in the comments as well. Maybe one day we'll go start doing live stuff, but right now that's not convenient for our lifestyle. It's not convenient for our lifestyle. Okay, so we're gonna wrap things up with our top 3 songs that are perfect to play while making whoopee. Our
Talking about
love.
aging ourselves.
I know, right?
Make
We didn't. I didn't even come from an era where we said making whoopee. That's some shit I got from the 50s that I just borrowed. Which is you know what? But let me just say on an old man's rant real quick. I feel like the new generation of people don't really pull much from the past. Like you ask them about artists from the 70s or sayings from the 70s, they don't know jack squat, about stuff before them. Like I knew about eight track tape decks was not when I was born, and I know about Victrolas, and I don't know, and I ain't nowhere near that when that shit was out. But you
How
ask
to
them like,
how to dial a phone number on a rotary dial phone.
right? I know about that life. You ask them like, well, what's this? What is this? Like, what's a phone book? Oh, girl, read something. Watch a movie that's older than 2000. Like, come on. But anyway, that was my little rant. So your top three songs. Let's go for number. What's your first one in no particular order? What's your first one there, Soulful?
Um, can uh, can we just talk by Khalid?
Can we just talk by Khalid? Well, how's that go? Give me a
Can
little bit
we
of rhythm.
just talk? I don't. I forget the lyrics because I'm usually doing
Okay.
other stuff when that song's playing.
But it has a good like.
Never felt like this before. I apologize if.
All
But yeah,
right,
it's got a
okay.
nice. It's got a nice little mellow rhythm to it. It works.
Nice, Khalid. Uh, One of mine is Iceberg by Tweet, and honestly, I don't know how the song goes at all because I don't
You're
listen to
busy
it.
doing other stuff.
I'm busy doing other stuff. It's a song that I had listened to one time, and I was like, "Ooh, this is a song for." hmm And I put her on my making love playlist on my Apple playlist. And so yeah, it's a good song. It's smooth. Tweet already got that smooth voice, right? And then it has a nice little thumping bass line, but it's not disruptive, you know. It's just something that gives you a nice groove. So yeah, Iceberg by Tweet. Yes, y'all should check that out if you haven't, if you don't know that one. And I tried to find more obscure songs because there's plenty of popular stuff that I could have said that's on that playlist, but I was looking for the more obscure stuff myself.
Hmm.
What's your next one?
Um, y'all don't hate me for this one.
Oh, here we
Anytime,
go.
any place by Janet Jackson, but the R. Kelly remix. I love that song, but there's just something about adding that beat to it that just takes it to another
To
level.
another level. Yeah, that's a good remix. That's a good remix. Yeah. So what do
But for
you
what it's
like
worth,
about it?
the one who remixed it doesn't sing in it. So
He does not. He does not. He who shall not be named.
I don't
Um.
know. I just get lost in that track, whether I'm by myself or whether I'm with somebody. Don't take that however you want, but it's just a great track. I mean,
It
even
is.
just putting your headphones on and just listening to it with your eyes
Mm.
closed, it just takes you somewhere else.
She does such a great job in that song of the imagery, creating this like all these romantic situations that she's in, and but yet, even though she's very specific in her descriptions, it's still somehow universal. Like even though I'm a guy and I'm singing "skirt around my waist," I'm like, well, whatever. It's like, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, I love that song. That is definitely on the playlist. If y'all don't have any time, any place on your making love playlist,
I don't know what to tell you.
exactly, just pause, honey. Just missing out. Now, this artist, I have recently gotten into her this number two song like within the last 6 months, and I only got into her because I was on Facebook. One of my former students had reposted her album and was like, "Oh, this album still goes hard," and it was Summer Walker, and I was like, "Summer Walker." I just remember her from all the controversy and her, not wanting to perform anymore and saying she didn't want to perform her songs because they brought up trauma in her and all that stuff. So I went and listened to some of Summer Walker's stuff about 6 months ago, and man, if Summer Walker, she's she's the truth, and her song "Tonight" is so sexy and so smooth. Um, it just it's not a, what's the word I'm looking for, a overly sexual song, but it is sexy. and it does make you want to do the do. So I recommend. And once again, it's a song I don't know the lyrics to because I don't listen to it like that. I put it on for ambiance. Okay, ambiance. All right, what's your number three there,
You know,
Soulful?
before I say my third one, and maybe we could do this for another episode, but I'm hearing that David and Tamala Mann, play Mr. Brown and Cora and all the Tyler
Yeah,
Perry plays. Obviously they're married to each other, but
right.
apparently they're coming up with an album together where they're making love making music for Christian people.
Oh, okay. All right,
I
Christian
haven't
love
I
making.
don't know if the album's yet. I haven't heard it, but I'm kind of intrigued what that's going to be
I'm
like.
intrigued. I'm intrigued, especially considering that usually when people make sexual music, you tend to imagine the artist a little bit when you
Mhm.
first hear it. So we're gonna be imagining
Mr. Brown,
the
Cora,
Browns.
with them with them ashy knees.
Take it off, Cora.
As long as Cora ain't
Liberty.
hollering on that track like she's trying to call on Jesus. Well,
Oh,
she might be trying to call on Jesus for other reasons.
Brown. It's too big, Brown. Oh, Cora, you can take it. Okay, I'm sure they're not gonna do that. They said Christian.
No,
All
but
right, go ahead.
I kind of want to see where they take this. No
I'm
pun
very.
intended.
I'm curious. I am curious.
Third one, I'm gonna say, and actually, I could do the whole album. Alina Perez, younger artist, does a lot of mellow R&B.
Mm,
The Color of You is one of my favorite albums by her, and there's a track on there called High. But it's a slower, mellower track compared to the other two that I mentioned.
mhm,
But if you're going for the whole experience of making out and first base, second base, third base, and a
mhm.
grand slam, you know, I could definitely let the whole album play just for the first and second base.
Nice,
But yeah,
nice.
but High would probably be one of my favorite tracks on that album.
And say her name again.
Alina Baraz,
Alina.
ALINABARAZ.
Okay. So my third one or last one, I was like, okay, I need to look at my list to see. I know I got a man on here somewhere. So I did have a few. Man, I had Usher, had several Chris Brown songs.
Tank.
Tank, and which leads me to my third one, which is a Tank song. And his song "When." I love that song. I forget which album it's off of, but
The
it's off.
explicit, and it's got to be the explicit version.
Oh, always. Let me give. You can't have a make love playlist with
When
song
we,
words blurted out. Yeah. So it's on the song on the cover. He's like this, like of the album with his shirt being shirtless. But yeah, it's such a great song by him.
love the lyrics
Celebrating
too.
love making, and I mean, yeah, he says something about a girl every once in a while, but I just ignore that. But yeah, it's a very very sexy song. Tank is a sexy guy, sexy voice, underrated R&B artist, who's on tour right now with Chris Brown, right? I think.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. I think for me, the production is great in that song. His vocals are phenomenal. Obviously, the message is entirely based on that. But some of the lyrics are just brilliant. I could
Hmm.
be aggressive. I could be a savage. I just need your blessing. Say that I can have it.
Mm.
That's like pearl clutch.
Yeah. Okay. Consent. He's like, he's like, that's the black man way of saying, I want you to consent to this moment right now, please.
Click here if you approve.
Right. Sign this saying that you approve of this, what we're about to do tonight. Yeah. Awesome, awesome songs. Awesome songs. Y'all comment in our comment section and let us know whether that's on YouTube or on Twitter. Or sorry, or on Instagram. We do have Twitter, but we don't really use her. She's like an old house we left abandoned on the street. So yeah, so
I mean,
you
I'm sure we use Twitter personally for other reasons, but
uh
not.
yeah,
Re-
yeah, yeah, yeah. But we do. also now have a Facebook page that is very in the infancy stage, that will be posting, clips from the show on there as well. That could also be a great place for us to begin to build community. So please find us, Soulful Cream Podcast, on Facebook and follow our page and like our page. And people who like our page will be, uh, we'll put you up for some exclusive stuff, some exclusive, so we'll say it's exclusive stuff right
Stuff.
now. Stuff
It,
stuff to
it's
come.
vague, but it's by
But
design
it's
because
by
you know
design.
it's by design because the possibilities are endless.
They are endless. Well, that concludes our episode for this episode. So it has been so good seeing you and talking with you, Soulful Mexican.
Likewise, likewise, always a
And
pleasure.
so you be safe out there in them streets tonight as you're out there celebrating your sex positivity. Be
Not tonight.
not tonight, not tonight.
Not
Take a
today.
night out. Not tonight. Okay.
Oh no, no, no. I'm actually I'm meeting an old employee of mine this evening, so that should just for drinks and stuff.
Cool, cool, cool. Me myself, I will be getting my mind mentally ready to start work again on Monday, but also I'll be packing because I'm getting ready to move. So I'll be packing and all that jazz. So
Yay!
mm, and to all of you out there, you know, I can't say it enough. I hope you don't think I'm being cheesy or we're being cheesy when we say it. We really do appreciate you listening to the podcast. We love the comments you make. We love when you see us and you say shit like, "Oh, I listen to the podcast and I recommend it to my friend," and whatever you guys say about it. I mean, even a constructive critique is welcome, because if you weren't listening, you wouldn't know to say that critique. And if you didn't care, you probably wouldn't even bother saying nothing to us about it. So we really do appreciate it. I mean, right, Soulful? Don't you
Very
appreciate it?
much so. I am always pleasantly surprised by the outpouring of love when I'm in a public place and they're like, "Oh my god, I love your podcast."
Mm.
Very much appreciated. I'm glad you guys enjoy hearing me ramble on and Cream and I sharing our words of wisdom and you know expressing the things that we still have left to learn. Thank you
Exactly.
for sharing all
Exactly.
of that. Thank you for educating us and greatly
Hmm.
appreciate all of you.
Yes. And with that, we are out. Thank you so much. And bye bye. Oh, what am I doing? I'm really learning this. I'm still learning.